What are the key requirements for people and vehicles? Separation of pedestrians and vehicles. Careful design of crossing places. Signposting and the use of floor markings to indicate routes to be followed by internal vehicles. Restraining barriers at sites where pedestrian routes suddenly emergency onto vehicle routes. Doors and gates. Use of transparent viewing panels. Safety features with power-operated doors. Safe use of upward opening doors. Consideration to be given to disabled people. Suitability of routes used by vehicles. Signposting of restrictions, headroom, presence of pedestrians, slopes, blind bends and so on. Shielding and marking of dangerous obstructions such as overhead electrical cables or pipework. Protection of pillars and pipework from impact by vehicles. Forklift trucks are very heavy. The author once saw such a truck drive into a set of storage racking at a snail's pace, but still causing an amazing amount of damage. What are the hazards faced by pedestrians? Slips, trips and falls. Collisions. Injury or damage caused by environmental conditions. Wet or greasy floors. Uneven or loose surfaces. Obstacles on the surface. What are the environmental hazards? Lighting levels. Heat. Noise. Air quality. What is a designated walkway? Designated walkways are areas which are specially protected from hazards by segregating people from vehicles, and within which pedestrians should be reasonably safe from harm. What are the hazards caused by vehicle operations? Loss of control. Overturning. Collisions with other vehicles, pedestrians or fixed objects. Loss of control of a vehicle. Driver error. Mechanical failure. Environmental conditions. Risk of overturning. Speed of travel. Steepness of the slope. Height of the vehicle, including its load. Stability of the load. High tire pressure. Any external longitudinal pressure, such as wind or colliding objects. Presence and size of any bumps or holes in the surface. Identify the environmental conditions which might contribute to accidents. Poor weather. Poor lighting. Poor sight lines. Poor ground surface. Congestion. Identify the main safety measures of vehicle operations. Movement systems. Speed limits. Vehicle parking. Signs and markings. Signaling. Loading and unloading procedures. Special rules for particular sites. General rules. Causes of manual handling accidents. Slips, trips and falls. Poor lifting techniques. Loads which are too heavy for the individual concerned. Loads with sharp corners. Deceptive loads, either because they are unexpectedly heavy or because the center of gravity is not as anticipated. Poor posture. Repeated handling and manipulation of loads which might be acceptable as a one-off. Common injuries include strains and muscle injuries involving the spine. Strains and muscle injuries involving other parts of the body. Scratches, bruising and grazes, mostly to the upper body. Fractures, either as a result of falls or dropping heavy objects onto the body. What are the general points? Manual handling techniques. Using a midway stage which may, for example, be valuable when an object has to be lifted from the floor to a high shelf. Making use of the strong leg muscles to push an object into storage position. Team handling, using two people in certain manual handling operations. ensuring that workers are aware of the most efficient ways of maneuvering equipment such as trolleys. Avoiding unnecessary stretching. Use of kinetic handling techniques. What are the machinery hazard? Entanglement, friction and abrasion, cutting, shear, stabbing and puncture, impact, crushing, drawing in, entanglement, rollers on conveyor systems, drum and cable lifting devices, friction and abrasion, any handling system involving belts, very tough, very abrasive. 4. The movement of grain, coal, sand, simple building site rope and pulley systems. Cutting, hard to think of a specific handling cutting example, apart from the side edge of a traveling conveyor belt, although obviously many of the other categories included here might also involve cutting. Shear, lift moving across the opening in a lift shaft, any lifting equipment that makes use of scissor action. Stabbing and puncture, any fast-moving handling equipment might, either on its own, or through the articles being carried, cause this type of injury. Impact, clearly just about any moving handling equipment could cause an impact injury. Crushing, device such as an inspection platform pushes the worker on the platform into the ceiling, ventilation ducting etc. Drawing in, roller and screw conveyor systems for moving bulk materials. Other hazards associated with handling equipment. Electrical hazards from the powerful batteries used in milk floats, hand-operated trucks etc. Falls from height. Toppling over of lifting equipment, you should be able to suggest a few possible causes. Electrostatic effects leading to fire and explosion hazards, think conveyor systems with the buildup of dust, frictional generation of electrostatic charges etc. What are the main causes of injury for manual handling operations? Failing to use a proper technique for lifting and/or moving the objects or load. Moving loads which are too heavy. Failing to grip the objects or load in a safe manner. Not wearing appropriate personal protective equipment. How can manual handling tasks be redesigned to less hazardous? Sequencing, adjusting the sequence of tasks in a process to minimize the number of operations involving lifting and carrying loads. Work routine, reducing repetitive operations to allow variation in movement and posture. By such means as introducing breaks, job rotation and providing ways in which workers can operate more at their own pace, rather than the work being controlled by a continuous supply of materials to be handled. Using teams, sharing the load by using teams of workers to carry out the task. Explain the hierarchy of control which is appropriate for machine safety. Substitution, the use of a safer machine. Remember that there are legal requirements for purchase of new machinery. Engineering control to reduce the severity of harm and the likelihood of harm arising from the hazard. Administrative control including the establishment of appropriate working procedures for day-to-day operation and cleaning and maintenance and emergency procedures. Personal protective equipment if all other measures fail to achieve. List the non-mechanical hazards. Noise, vibration, electricity, temperature, hazardous materials and substances, including radiation. Ergonomics. What hazards might arise from the use of the following machines? Benchtop grinder, mechanical, contact, ejection of parts, sword non-mechanical, dust. Simple robot, mechanical, impact, crushing non-mechanical, noise. Pneumatic drill, mechanical, impact, crushing non-mechanical, noise, vibration, dust. Bench-mounted saw, mechanical, cutting, severing non-mechanical, noise, dust. What is the hierarchy of protective measures? Fixed and closing guards. Other guards or protection devices. Protection appliances. The provision of information, instruction, training and supervision.
Please give comment and suggestions.
Thank you.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Thank for visit our channel. See you next class.
Thank you.